Starting to lose the creativity for these intros, Bashar. But welcome back, everybody. Another episode Tuesday evening with me and Bashar talking 49ers. What else? I think this is the latest edition of Therapy Week because the Niners are looking pretty bad and they lost. Things are crazy. The end of the world as we know it. Who sang that song? Was it REM?
REM. Yeah.
Okay, so we should be playing that in the background as we do this whole stream. But yeah, man, it's not a lot of positivity to talk about. I want to sort some things out because as much as I am negative about this team and as much as I give this team a lot of grief, there's a lot of, I think, panicking or overreaction or just people, 49er fans being what they are, which is overdrawn. They over dramatize everything and
A lot of knee-jerk reactions.
A lot of knee-jerk reactions. We started off yesterday's stream, Bashar, by talking about essentially I asked my co-host and then I answered myself, do you believe the 49ers are done in 2024? And that's kind of there's a lot to go into it, but if you just based it off what you actually paid attention to, because I know your Sunday was a little crazy, but based off just everything that's happened so far this year, going 5-5 and not looking like a team that if they get to the playoffs is going to do anything, do you just have that overall feeling that the Niners might be cooked this year and that it might just be too little too late?
Could be. I mean, it just sucks that we had to wait forever to get CMC, and right now CMC is still trying to get his feet wet to become the real CMC that we all know and love, right? It's not. I didn't expect him to be the most dominant player on the field or anything right off the bat either. I know there's a little process that comes along when you bring back injured players, and like for example, we might be getting Greenlaw back pretty soon, but will it be too late? I mean, who knows where are we going to be headed this season? Are we going to be that team that just decides to tank it the rest of the year? Are we going to be that team that squeezes into the playoffs and does nothing? Or, there still is that hope that, hey, and there still is that mathematical chance. And the other teams have done it in the past where they woke the heck up and woke the F up and said, hey, no, you know what? We're not going to do this. And we're going to play real football. And we're going to be that strong team that we normally are in the playoffs. And we're going to go as far as we possibly can. So, obviously this isn't ideal. I mean, is the excitement there like it was at the very, very beginning of the season? No. I mean, that goes for me and goes for everybody else, right? Yeah. So it's just a whole bunch of things that have been going on with the team, and it's not that obviously things could be a whole lot better than we expected, but they're not. So it is what it is. We have 5-5 record, and that's who we currently are, and unless we miraculously find a way to change it.
I'm kind of like back and forth. I keep vacillating between I'm not ready to give up. We could still make a run, or let's just call it a season and try to retool and revamp in the off season, get healthy, and try this again next year. Yesterday, Al made a good point. He's like, we got 6 games left, and then after those 6 games, if the Niners don't make the playoffs, we got to wait 6 months until we see the 49ers again. So it's like I struggle to feel what I'm supposed to feel based on just where they are right now. They're caught in this. I'm caught in this really weird limbo between. Should they just call it? They're not going to until it's over, until they're out of mathematically eliminated. But man, it's increasingly more difficult to watch the game and really have any positive feelings towards anything. I've been doing a lot of flipping out during games and after games, which is something I haven't done in a really long time. I don't know. I'd always tell myself I'm not going to let this stuff get to me, but it did. This past Sunday was probably the worst ever. I went a little crazy after the game. But yeah, I'm caught in that. I'm caught in the limbo right now of just watch the games and wait for next year, or try to be positive and hope that they make a run starting this week in Green Bay.
And yeah, it's not gonna be easy either with the team that we got to play, and we all know that we beat them in the playoffs, and they're gonna try to seek revenge on us, and a lot of teams are kind of seeking revenge on us, right? All the teams we beat, yeah. So just I can say this. I mean, I've sat through plenty of shitty Niners seasons and watched it. I mean, the one Niners season I probably didn't watch as much And there was a good portion of the season I didn't have cable. More was when we I believe it was the Dennis Erickson season, the last Dennis Erickson season. I remember we lost to the Bengals once, and it was just that season was abysmal. We probably used like 4 different quarterbacks or something like that, and either way, I'll be watching this season. Obviously, assuming I don't have any family obligations, I may have to watch games on tape delay or something. But I love this team. I've been a 49er through and through is basically what I'm trying to say. Even through the bad. I'm also a Golden State Warriors fan. And if anybody has a test as a sports fan, anybody who's a Warriors fan, God knows from the freaking from 1994 when they lost Chris Webber till pretty much once they started winning titles with them, Steph Curry, there was a huge playoff drought of them doing basically they were just doing nothing for years. They went through endless coaches. I know it's a completely different sport. What I'm just saying is like sticking with your team and dealing with the really ugly. It wasn't even bad that we were dealing with. As a Warriors fan, I was dealing with a whole lot of ugly, and then we finally got good and great. But I'm not trying to be like Mr. Ultimate optimistic or Mr. Ultimate like silver lining guy, but I'm just saying as a sports fan, there are moments in your life where as a sports fan you do have to tough it out. Case in point, this one being one. We've sat through worse Niners seasons, but again, there's been expectations, and we have a lot of really, really good players, and we shouldn't be where we're at right now. That's the disappointing part. And my camera's
as usual.
Yes, StreamYard
hates us when we stream together.
It hates it when we stream. When I go on my channel, it doesn't do it.
I don't really follow any other sports, Bashar, so I have a hard time being
Wrestling.
able to. Wrestling doesn't count. I mean, I might have a CM Punk shirt on, but that's only because I think the dude is pretty cool because he's straight edge like myself. But I'm not able to jump into another sport and kind of let's see if they can do it. Let's see if they can do it. Like go to baseball. If you're a Giants fan, a San Francisco Giants fan, or a Golden State Warriors. Like my co-host yesterday, Al, of 49ers Plus podcast, I'm a one sport guy. I've been a 49ers fan going on 35 years. And like you, I've been through a lot of stuff. The season, to say that I didn't see this coming, we talked ad nauseum about this early in the year, even during training camp, that I felt that this season felt amazingly off. I think a lot of that had to do with how I felt after losing the Super Bowl. I just couldn't get it out of my head. I just was replaying it over and over, and I felt we so close once again, and to lose it like we did, it kind of took the life. It took the I don't know. It took the passion out of it for me. And as the season started, I'm like, man, if I'm feeling like this, what are the players doing? And we beat the Jets, and I got positive like everybody else. And it's like, oh, maybe I just need to get rid of all that. And then this season has been nothing short of if you deal with bipolar depression, it's not a healthy season to be watching football, because it is literally hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, up, down, up, down. So even though I prepared myself mentally for it, and I thought that they might have a down year, like I said Sunday during my last stream, I let myself be pulled into it. Hook, line, and sinker. I let the Niners do it to me again. They do it every year. I keep telling everybody, and I keep telling myself, like, I'm not going to allow this team to do this. And yet again, they do it every single time, including this past Sunday, where I lost my freaking marbles watching a game. So, yeah, it's this is going to be a tough season. I hate to be the guy that thinks about the off season in November, but it's getting awfully close to that.
I got you. I'm not sure what else I can say. I think I was going to add something to what you were saying.
We could move on.
I just forgot. I keep in mind, I wasn't trying to. The point I was making about bringing up the basketball analogy, it wasn't about, hey, I had basketball to fall back on, and yeah, sure, my NBA team is looking pretty promising this year, but it was more as that, hey, I've been through really, really bad, like tough times as a sports fan, and worse times than I've ever dealt with as a Niner fan, and yet that team all of a sudden won 4 championships, and it's something I never expected them to even win one in their lifetime. So I know it's like, don't count things out too much, because you never know when you could be surprised. It's just my point. You know what I mean? But obviously, losing Greenlaw was a huge hit to our team, much bigger hit to our team that I thought it would be. Now, sure, I love Greenlaw. He was my favorite linebacker last year, and he's that enforcer. And I just thought that guys would pick up the slack. D. Winters, we drafted Bethune. We had the other young Jalen Graham. I just thought somebody from that young linebacking core would step up, and I didn't think Devondre Campbell would be as horrible as he is. But losing him on defense was a huge blow to this team, and losing CMC to not having CMC around, and then Ayuk being a letdown, and then getting injured and all this stuff. So we've dealt with some things that we didn't necessarily deal with last year, and the record is showing. I'm not saying that those two reasons are the end all be all, but another thing is I love Brock, but Brock's at times, to be fair, hasn't been himself. And then there are moments where he gets in these great streaks, but lo and behold, people can't block for him. And early in the season, people weren't catching for him. So it's a combination of a lot of things.
It is a combination of a lot of things. It's not one thing why we're losing. I want to play the blame game, though. If you had to pick a specific side of the ball, a specific coach, front office, a player that you think kind of epitomizes this season just by how piss poor they're playing, if Bashar had to answer that, you know what, against this head, who's to you is the biggest, if it's not a person, if it's what's been the biggest, I think, thing that's really brought the Niners down to where they are this year?
If I had to pick a player, you mean?
Player? No, it could be a side of the ball. It could be John Lynch. It could be a lot of things.
I'll say this: side of the ball, the obvious one is offensive line, and offensive line is very dear to my heart. I played O-line in high school, and Brendo was really, really bad this past game, right? Some people were saying that McKivitz had a pretty decent rating this past game, and I have seen McKivitz in certain games look better than I thought he would. But there still are those plays that really make you scratch your head and like, are we sure that there's nobody better that we could pick up off the scrap heap that could possibly do better than this? I mean, I'm sure we could have drafted somebody. I haven't been following the rookie tackles that have been drafted this past season. And maybe I should be, because I picked up a whole bunch of names in the pre-draft process, and like, oh, we should get this guy, we should get that guy, and I'm curious to see what they're doing with other teams. But yeah, definitely the lines did. I mean, even Trent Williams. Look at Trent Williams. I know he was hurt this past game. It's really, really hard to go out there and play when you have certain injuries. You can't expect players to be themselves. But even without that injury, though, I have seen Trent struggle a bit more than I thought he would.
Yep.
And if they don't prioritize offensive line, then how long are we going to have a healthy Brock Purdy? How long or maybe Brock Purdy will be healthy because he can scramble around, but
he's actually not healthy right now. He's got a shoulder issue.
Yeah, exactly that. And do you really, really want him running around, trying to escape a major pass rush like 80% of the time he's on the field? That's pretty much what we deal with as Niner fans. Yeah.
I could focus on special teams, and you can read my mind of like, why have they not moved on from Brian Schneider? But I just think the overall defense, the regression of the defense has been probably the most alarming thing. Not the secondary, though. Like, we have a nice young core in the secondary. Bernardo Green and Malik Mustafa. Jair Brown has played well, a lot better at times. Diamando Lenore just got paid. But it's just been the regression of that defensive line and defensive line depth. The Niners haven't had a pass rush all year, bro. They haven't been able to get after the quarterback. They can't stop the run in the fourth quarter. Their defensive coordinator, to me, I saw something today I just thought was alarming. And this was, I think, by Brian Baldinger. There's just no variety with the defense. There's no identity. They don't do anything special. They don't adjust. It's just, he pretty much said they just throw out their defense on the field and they just kind of play. That's not his exact words, but what he was saying is that the defense, to me, has been an absolute disappointment. But it's like they go, these players, they get Steve Wilkes fired. Like I keep saying, rightfully so. He had a bad Super Bowl, but like, you bring in somebody who is so ill prepared with a team that has a Super Bowl quote unquote window where they can, try to win a championship, and you go. All these elite teams we see in the NFL, Bashar, all have really good defense coordinators. And it's usually like ex-head coaches or guys that were once coaches that really have come down to it in their mind that they're probably just good enough to be a coordinator. The Niners every year they're moving on from somebody and putting someone else in place. And I don't think that's conducive if you supposedly have championship aspirations, that you have a revolving door at defensive
At
coordinator.
DC, yeah, that's a great point. That really is. We should find a DC that we can lock in and be like, hey, you're our guy for the next 5 years. You're not leaving anywhere, because we have one goal in mind, that's to win it all.
Yeah.
And I know guys want to be head coaches. I get that. I really do. Since Sentinel made it really good, you said there's no pass rush. How ironic is this? I know you've been hard on Bosa, right? But Bosa was pretty good this game. I mean,
he was.
The ironic thing is that the ironic thing is that this was the one game where Yetur Gross-Matos was finally back. He got himself a sack, right? He didn't look too bad out there. Freaking Leonard Floyd had a sack and a half, and he actually looked pretty good too at times. It's like the one game that the guys around him start playing better, then Bosa isn't healthy enough to be there for the fourth quarter. Did he miss the third quarter as well? But
he went out mid third quarter and then never came back in.
And Raj from RS 49ers, that's our guy. Shout out to him. He posted something on Instagram about, when Bosa was off the field, the Seahawks averaged 6.5 yards per game and 8 yards per play, and they averaged 3.3 yards per play when he was on the field. So he was actually having a really good game, and we missed him dearly when he was off the field, which sucked. So.
Nick Sorensen and Brandon Staley defensive combo is a terrible patchwork. I couldn't agree with you more, Peter Lee. I just don't understand. I mean, really? That's your big plan for defensive coordinator? And what makes it worse is we know we're not dealing with as deep as a defensive line as we've had in the past. Like, it's pretty thin, especially at edge, right? So you would like to bring in a coordinator who has some sort of ability to generate pass rush, who can give you multiple fronts, who can change things up, who throws different looks out there, and yet you get the most basic, like, safe hire, and then you bring in a disgruntled coach who you know is not going to say anything, and you just plug him into the defense and think, well, we've done it before this way, so it's going to work again. And it's been nothing short of a disaster. This defense every fourth quarter seems like it's like they play three quarters, and then when the fourth quarter comes, everybody, I just don't understand. And if you want championship aspirations, or you want to have championship aspirations, then you look at a team like the Kansas City Chiefs. They've had Steve Spagnuolo for years. The Giants had Steve Spagnuolo those years where they beat Brady. You got to have that guy, that old crusty veteran who was once a head coach, who's now a defensive coordinator, whose job it is to be a defensive coordinator, and just be multiple in your fronts, multiple in your looks. Everything the Niners do is so basic. There's nothing to what they do. They rush 4. They throw 8 in coverage.
We barely blitz, and when we do blitz, it's not effective.
It's super predictable too. Yeah. Brian Flores should have been higher instead of Steve Wilkes. We screwed our compensatory draft pick. Yeah. I look at someone like everybody keeps saying bring back Saleh. Heck, I would bring back Ulbrich after the year from the Jets. The Niners, like I said, they need to have some stability at defensive coordinator. This patchwork job that they've done this year with 2 ill-prepared defensive coordinators was nothing short of an absolute disaster, considering the aspirations that they had before the season. Like, if you're going to have less talent, if you're going to have not as deep a team, then sometimes schematically you can make up for it if you're a good enough defensive coordinator. The Niners don't have that. There's nothing he does that I couldn't do or you couldn't do standing on the sideline. He doesn't make any adjustments. You watch the game, he just stands there. He doesn't do anything. Nothing happens when you watch Nick Sorensen on the sideline. And so hopefully John and Kyle learn from it this year, that they need to probably invest a little bit more into the defensive coordinator position than just throwing a couple guys together and saying, here, you go on the sideline and you go up in the booth. And that should be good enough. Because we don't want to upset the apple cart of all our veteran players who don't want to play for somebody outside the organization. I don't know. To me, it was a vast miscalculation on their part this year.
Yeah, that would be nice if we could actually hire somebody who's not an internal hire, because it seems like a lazy approach, doesn't it? And I'm sure, and, obviously D'Amico was an internal hire, wasn't he? So
Yes.
but that I think that was an exception to the rule. You're not always going to get that, a great guy, great talent like D'Amico and have him be the internal hire. I mean, but when you look at Source, and I mean, look, I know, I'm just saying, like, I glance at the guy. I know it looks are deceiving and all that, but I just don't see somebody who looks like a defensive coordinator. I think he smiles a little too much. He's little more of worried about how he may look in the mirror a little bit. Even though, kind of has that Raj calls him a surfer guy, so I call him a North Shore guy. There was a movie called
I think
North
he
Shore.
looks like a guy who boils crystal meth in his basement. That's what he
Yeah,
looks
you said
like.
that. You said, I just think of him like Rod said the surfer guy, and I said North Shore was an old surfer movie from back in the 80s. And it just okay, my point is I don't look at him and say defensive coordinator like that. No, and again, looks are deceiving. I get it, but we need somebody who looks more like a football guy. I think attitude is very, very important. Just imagine if we had a Dan Campbell looking dude as our D coordinator. I think that would change things. I think it would.
Sentinel made a good point, and now I just want to say this before I read this, and I don't think that Sentinel's that guy, but there's a lot of the fire Kyle Shanahan crowd out there right now. This, however, is a really astute observation and good point. He says we have two defensive coordinators, Brandon Staley in booth and Sorensen on the ground. Both are stooges for Kyle, 100%. The one thing I will say about Kyle Shanahan, and I'm not of the fire him and gut the team and start over again crowd. I'm not that guy, because I think that's absolutely, if you want to run an organization like that, you'll never win. Every time you struggle or hit a rough patch, you want to just gut everything and start over. The thing it is Kyle has massive ego, and he doesn't like to be challenged. That's why a lot of times you see guys that are underneath him or surrounding him are all new or fresh or up and coming guys. Rarely do you see somebody on this staff that's been around other than our running backs coach, Bobby Turner, he's a loyal Shanahan person. You don't see that guy on this staff who would be like, Kyle, let me handle the defense. Just worry about calling plays. You know what I mean? They don't have that. To me, in a way, he's right. They're very stooge-ish in the way that they kind of run their assistant coaching operation. It's more or less people that will kowtail to Kyle Shanahan.
Read the coattails.
Yeah. Leon Cancastle says he gives me special teams coordinator vibes. He used to be a special team coach in Seattle. Oh, let's not even get started on that guy. He said, I'm not the fire guy either. Whether we do with Shanahan, I want my 3 first-round draft picks back and not gut the team. Personally, I would trade Kyle to New York Giants and find a coach for Brock. For me, I just think the 49ers had a massive miscalculation this year when it came to defense coordinator. And they're paying the price for it. I also think talent-wise, they've taken a massive step back in the edge department. They've made some draft picks in Drake Jackson and Robert Beal that have been massive misses. For all the hits that they've made in this past draft, those two have been massive misses. Leonard Floyd has been an absolute disappointment. And as the other guy, Gross Matos, has been injured. So, yeah, there's a lot going into that, but I think defensive coordinator, defense especially, has been the biggest bugaboo for this team. And trust me, I'm not forgetting about special teams either.
And I kind of did forget about special teams, but it was like you asked me what's the biggest problem with the team. I was like a specific player, or I was like, where should I start? Because we have a lot of problems. I'm not going to deny that. When you lose 5 games and you're 5-5, there's plenty of blame to go around, and it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a good point by Peter Lee. So that's why Belichick declined Shanny's invite for a DC role. I don't know, man. He's got a nice, fine young girlfriend. Maybe he just wanted to hang out.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised they didn't throw the book at Bill Belichick and he's not locked up in some state prison or something.
Yeah, like bring your girl with you in the booth. I don't care. We'll give you a separate booth. That is pretty
crazy. I'm sorry, man. If Belichick was my relative, and dude, he would get so much shit from all my relatives. Would be like, "What the hell are you doing, dating a girl that could be your damn granddaughter?" Like, come on now. Oh well.
I want to talk about something really stupid I saw today. There's been a lot of fan overreactions on the internet, namely Twitter. The one I saw today absolutely made me enraged, and it was the 49ers need to move on from Brock Purdy, and if Aaron Rodgers becomes available, make a play for Aaron Rodgers. That was their big idea to make our future brighter, was to get rid of a guy that was in the MVP consideration last year and bring in a crusty, broken down, unmotivated, distracted jerk off of a former great quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. What do you make of that?
Mm, what I want to get to is who was this person, like some noteworthy guy on Twitter, or he was just some random jackass?
No,
And if you don't
just
want to
some
say his name,
fool.
you could type it to me in the private chat.
I don't
But
even know who it is, but all I
yeah,
know is that it stung some people the wrong way, and
really,
made
you got to show me what you saw, because I'm surprised anybody would entertain responding to such a dumbass tweet. Because that's got to be one of the dumbest things I've heard. He's not even healthy. Is he
why.
still hurt?
What's wrong with our fan base, but Shar?
They're all about knee jerk reactions. That's what they want, man.
I see so many people with all these things of we got to gut the team, start over, get rid of Brock, get rid of Kyle, trade Bosa. Like,
They're
this
probably listening to
isn't.
you know who too much. I don't know.
Oh, Grant Cohn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know he had a little bit of a post game crap on Kyle fest and why the 49ers need to fire Kyle Shanahan. He's probably just mad because Kyle got mad at him in the press room, but
So it's
that's the
his little
problem.
revenge.
That's the problem. You have these clickbait merchants out there who are all about super negative narratives all the time, who they get in the head of these fans who are so easily led by that sort of trash that they think that gutting the team and essentially turning off the salary cap like you would on Madden, that you could just miraculously recapture what you have and get right back to where you were. I'm not saying stand pat or stand idly by and let the rest of the league pass you by, but this notion that you literally are gutting this team and getting rid of Kyle, who would be picked up in a day if that was the case. I'm not saying stay with him forever and never move on. I'm just saying there's so many outlandish things that are being said, but there's no plan after. It's just this happens and then you do this and then we'll be fine again. And it doesn't work like that in the National Football League.
Yep, and then I'm not gonna say his name. You said his name already, but that guy, he throws all this shit out there because he wants us to suck. Yeah, sure. We fire Kyle Shanahan. Chances are that we'll suck. We'll suck really, really bad, because there's a good chance that we may not get somebody who's good or better, who's just as good, if not better. That's the likely possibility, that we get somebody who's ass, and then we're a team that misses the boat on the playoffs. God knows how many times. And that guy, that beat writer, whatever his name is sitting in the back laughing, ha 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 ha. I got 49er fans all pissed. I got them wanting to fire their coach, and now look how bad they suck, because I don't care about this damn team, and I want them to lose, and I want them to suck. That's all he wants. That's all he wants.
He's not a fan of the 49ers, Grant Cohn.
Yeah. He wants us to suck.
Neither was his father. Yeah. And he's got stooges that stream with them who put up the same crap out there, and they're finally right. Now, those are the same people that were still talking about Trey Lance last year. So eventually, if you keep reporting things and you keep saying things, eventually you'll be right, because things will align, things happen, players get hurt, teams regress, whatever. And now he just happens to be right. So now that he's right, he's just going to continually flog that horse until he can't anymore. Two really good comments here by Sentinel. He says, I don't want to destroy the team. There is a surgical way to repair everything and keep everything that we've been building. Exactly what I'm saying. For instance, we have some pretty hefty contracts. We have some contracts coming up and some players that I think we could do without and we wouldn't miss a beat. For instance, Aaron Banks, Javarius Ward, Kyle Juszczyk, Deebo Samuel, and a litany of other players, Javon Hargrave, all guys that if they left this team next year, I don't think we'd skip a beat. And you got a really good young nucleus in the secondary that I think people are sleeping on because we're playing so poorly this year. So there's enough core talent that's still on this team, but to say that you can't stand idly by and not do anything. Other ways you can get better is coaching changes, special teams, defensive coordinator, things like that. You can replenish a team in a season or two and then be right back to where they were. It happens all the time. All the good franchises like the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Patriots, all these teams that were good, the Colts over years and years and years and years had the ability to move on from certain players, readjust, bring other players in, keep a core together and keep it going. And I think the Niners can do the same thing. I don't believe in this notion that you have to gut everything and start over.
And they've proven. I mean, not that we've won Super Bowls or anything like that, but we've done some pretty good things. We've had success, and we've proven that we can have a downfall season here and there and bounce right back up. So we have proven that. He typed CJ Stroud. I was just thinking about who was that quarterback we had? Was it CJ Beathard? I was thinking about CJ Beathard. The ironic thing about the CJ Beathard pick, a lot of people know this because the CJ Beathard pick was what caught our eye about Kittle. We're scouting CJ Beathard. Oh, and then we see this guy Kittle, right? The ironic, and there's more irony to it. The CJ Beathard leaving as a free agent. A lot of people don't know this, but the CJ leaving as a free agent gave us the compensatory pick to draft Brock Purdy, which is crazy. So I know a lot of weird, stupid things happen when we botched on those picks because of the Lance trade and all that, and we were sold snake oil about Trey Lance, and a lot of people were emotionally invested in Trey Lance, me being one of them, because we gave up a whole bunch
we were both big on Trey when it happened.
I was too. I was like, oh, cool. Well, we gave up all those picks, but we got a guy set for the future. And then we were lied to that he was a 6'4" Russell Wilson type player, and he's neither. And they said they even went as far as to say in the pressers and when being interviewed about him in the post draft interviews that this guy has the mentality of a CEO. When you talk to him, you feel like you're talking to a CEO. I'm like, bro. Out of every press conference I see Lance in, and every interview I've seen him, not knocking the guy, he's a good kid, but he does not exude that type of confidence. I'm sorry.
I get CEO vibes from Brock.
Oh yeah, Brock personality and attitude, he's a beast. Yes. Dude.
He's an even keel guy. He's a toe the company line. He's positive. He's upbeat. He compliments and he uplifts guys around him. If there's anybody who acts like a CEO, it's Brock. He even kind of looks like one the way he dresses. Sentinel also said, I'd like to see a coach with cutting edge philosophy on special teams, like with the new rules today. Use them to your advantage. Make special teams part of the scoring process. I agree. I
want to finish up what I was going to say really quick about Lance.
Go ahead.
Because I like I said, that they said that CEO stuff about him. We all know he doesn't exude that type of confidence. I met the guy, really, really nice person, but I didn't get like a confident vibe of the guy, and I met Brock too. Actually, they're both really nice people, and we got sure we bombed with the Lance thing, but we did get pretty damn lucky with what we have in Brock and where we drafted him, and he does deserve the paycheck. So a lot of people are doubting. Some guy in the chat's doubting the paycheck and all that. He deserves the payday because if we don't pay him, somebody else is gonna fucking pay him. So we're gonna be stupid to let him go. You put Brock behind an offensive line. Put a damn offensive build. I said this earlier. Build a damn O line for Brock. Look at Jared Goff. Is he mobile? He's probably got 2 cinder blocks for legs, dude. Look at how many points that damn team is putting up.
True. As far as the conversation,
he's still going. He's still going. He said something. You can go ahead and touch on this. Otherwise, I'll say it.
What's that? Sentinel?
No, above him.
I agree. I wanted Dak sign the first time, but was dumb signing. Oh, are you a Cowboys fan? I must be a Cowboys fan.
DFW, Dallas Fort Worth. Yeah, he says some.
Okay,
but look, let's be real, man. Dak isn't the winner Brock is, man. He's just not, dude.
We were talking about that last night, where people are so still caught up with the physical attributes that they think that that's what makes the player. And, you look at Brock, you're not impressed with what he looks like. He doesn't have a big arm. He's not, he doesn't check any of those boxes, but makes plays. And in the playoffs, he was money. And I think especially last year, he was in the MVP running last year as well. And I just find it increasingly aggravating how quickly people are ready to move on when we hit a bit of a snag or we hit some problems. You know, the 49ers are they're having a rough year. They're having a
Look,
rough year. It happens.
he got sacked 28 times last year. This year, he's already been sacked 20 times. Again, I'm going to keep stressing offensive line is really,
Right.
really, 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 I'm going to say really a million times in a row. It's fucking important, especially when you got a franchise quarterback. You do not sit there and lollygag on draft day and only draft one guy, Pooney, who I really like. Pooney's awesome. Really nice
Cody's
guard,
amazing.
but you need a damn tackle too. And you need
Yep.
to fill other positions when guys like Trent Williams retires. And then we will see Brock tear the league up again, just like he did. Dude, when he has to run for his life, I'm sorry, dude. It's you're not going to have an amazing record. You're just not, dude.
I know a lot of you guys want to move on from Kyle. I get that, and I do believe in the championship or bust mentality. All I'm saying is if we do that, we have to have a plan, and we have to know that that plan is going to work, because Kyle will be unemployed for like 2 minutes. I want to see some changes this offseason to see if Kyle is growing and is willing to step back and take a little bit of his own medicine. Defense coordinator needs to be addressed. If you bring back Sorensen next year, then we can start having that conversation a little bit. And then special teams, of course.
How about an OC? That'd be nice, right?
What's that?
How about Kyle having OC? I mean, we kind of had one with Mike McDaniel, right? Imagine McDaniel gets fired. I'd love to see him come back.
I mean, yeah, I would love to. I wouldn't have a problem with Kyle. Would Kyle be able to give the reins up to an offensive coordinator?
He needs to, again, like he needs to progress and learn, right? So that could be one of his things where he actually moves up the ladder and realizes, hey, I need to do this. So
this is a good man. Suddenly you're on fire tonight, man. This is all the stuff that I was seeing today, and I agree with. He says, I would love to completely overhaul both sides of the trenches. This is part of my philosophy towards this. This is what really the problem really is originated. We are so critical, a lot of us, including myself, about why the Niners spent so much draft picks and what's the word I'm looking for? Currency, capital on the trenches, right? But what we fail to realize is when we were at our best and we focused on those sides of the ball is when we really were kind of in that groove of that, 2019, to 2023 kind of window. And now I feel like the 49ers need to get back to that. I would love to see an overhaul of the defensive line going into next offseason. Getting another edge player. Yeah, I would. Yes, I would be okay with them drafting, sneaking into the top 10 and getting another edge player on the other side for Nick Bosa. Absolutely. But we also need to look to the future at offensive tackle, because I think offensive line, like Bashar said, Pooney's awesome, right? Other than him and Trent Williams, what do you really got on that offensive line?
I want to add this about Pooney. I remember when they drafted him, they said, "Oh, he's played both guard and tackle in college." I'm not sure which one he played more of, so to speak. But like when I watched the games, well, the first excuse was he's strictly going to be a guard because he has short arms. Well, when I look at him walk around in every single game, I don't look at the body type of a guy who has short arms and can't play tackle. He looks like a tackle to me. And you're telling me that you can't throw him in at right tackle and he won't do a better job than McKivitz? I find that hard to believe, dude.
David McNiner said Brock Purdy is only in his third season. I'm not directly comparing, but Tom Brady didn't become the carry the team quarterback until about year 5. They ran the ball and didn't ask a lot of time.
He had some defenses, man. He had some defense.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I just think people are so willing to give up on Brock so fast. I just find it fascinating.
I mean, and like they showed the play right in the fourth quarter where he threw the ball too high for Debo. I'm not saying that Brock has an excuse to throw a ball too high when and on that play he didn't have any pressure, to the O-line's credit, right? It was a play action quick play. Well, I mean, how often can you sit there and tally up like Brock Purdy bad throws on plays where he had ample time to throw? They're far and few between. So big deal. He overthrew Brock Debo once in a crucial part of the game. Okay, he finally he made a mistake. All right, we get it. But I mean, hey, maybe Kittle or Jennings would have caught that too at the same time. But more often than not, Brock's doing the right thing out there, dude.
Avatar Singh says McKivitz is not terrible, but Brendel needs to be replaced. That is 100% true.
I'm
sign off
replacing
on that
both those
Barbie.
guys if I'm the GM. I'm
That
replacing
mother,
both.
dude. You want to hear me swearing? They showed.
No, go ahead. It's all
They
you.
showed. They showed Brendel's big fat head during that game again.
Oh.
Every time they showed that fat face, mother, I get so mad because he always has the same. And then he was smiling, bro. He was smiling.
He had a penalty against him, and I was like, bro, you're one of the players that needs to leave his helmet on. I know it's not a beauty contest or anything like that, but yeah, Brendel, keep that helmet on, bro.
Sentinel says that's right, David. Charlie Weiss is an unsung hero of the Patriots dynasty, but he was paramount in making Tom Brady.
I remember Charlie Weiss.
Yeah. I find it absolutely infuriating how people want to move off of Brock for struggling this year. I just
knee-jerk reactions,
and then wanting to go to a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's
so
beyond. Stupid. He's beyond cooked. He's beyond cooked. That's it. All I've done is look at X over the past, 2 days. People are melting down and their takes are horrible. I mean, all of them pretty much are fire Kyle. They don't give you an option of who to bring in. It's not like, bring in Ben Johnson. That's the one right now.
Did McKivitz get fired? Not McKivitz. Did McVay get fired? Did Andy Reid get fired? Because those are the only two guys that really jump up and down and do jumping jacks to hire right off the bat, honestly, within a blink of an eye. But Ben Johnson, we don't know if he's a coach. We don't know. Yeah, sure, he's doing good as a coordinator, but we don't know if he could be a head coach. I mean,
who gives Brock a max deal? Y'all are cooked. Kind of like the Cowboys with Dak Prescott. They're cooked too.
Well, he said who did Brock make better? That was his question too.
Who did Brock make better? I just think Brock does a lot of things on his own that, I said Colin Kaepernick, that Jimmy Garoppolo didn't when he was here.
With the same roster. And less of a defense. Yeah. Jimmy had a strong, awesome defense when he was QBing this team. And then right away, Kittle's getting touchdowns when Brock Purdy's in the lineup in that quarterback. And even this year, Kittle's been balling. I mean, Purdy does a lot for this team, dude. What you get some blocking around him, you'll see how well he'll propel this team again. And even that first year when he stepped in for Jimmy, he could have possibly been in the Super Bowl had he not had his shoulder ripped off or whatever in that one game, his elbow torn off or whatever.
My buddy Paul from work, what's up, man? We need to get younger anyways, so giving some money to a quarterback who's gone through a lot of crap but has gotten us to the playoffs, gotten us a lot of playoff wins is fine in my opinion. Yeah, people forget about the playoffs last year. What has he done? Did you watch the Lions game last year? How he helped drive the team down the field to eventually give us the lead so that we won that game? Brock played amazing in the playoffs in 2 games. The Niners last year, they had the number 1 seed, but they played like dog water in the divisional and the championship game. And I think Brock Purdy had a lot to do with them winning that Lions game. And look at the Lions now. That's if you want to say one thing that I regret about last year and us not winning the Super Bowl last year is you could see it last year how good the Lions were and that they were on the precipice of being great. And now this year they look like the NFC's representative to make the Super Bowl. But this whole discrediting Brock and thinking you could just keep rinse and repeating until you get a quarterback. If I asked you, how many elite quarterbacks would you say are in the NFL right now? Because everybody thinks that the Niners just got to keep gutting the quarterback position until we get an elite one. Yeah, so that's their whole thing is just getting rid of them, bringing somebody else in, and if he's not elite, getting rid of him.
That's stupid.
What's the plan? When you think of elite quarterbacks, would you say there's about 3 maybe in the National Football League right now?
4 if you're lucky. I mean,
Lamar, Mahomes. Allen.
I'll be honest. I'll be 100% honest about this. I'm just not a huge Lamar Jackson fan at quarterback. A lot of people tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm stupid. They're more than welcome to say that, but I just even Josh Allen.
He's a regular season. I mean,
Josh Allen's a regular season guy too. I mean, as great as his arm and his size and his running ability, and all that. Dude, Brock has a winning spirit in him that you cannot draft. It's a special talent that you won't see at a combine, dude. Even the way he commands the huddle, the way he speaks to people in the huddle, just those leadership qualities. It's very hard to find a fighter like that at quarterback. It really, really is. You can give me the strongest arm. You can give me the 6'5" height. You can give me the speed, but it's really, really hard to find that dog in the quarterback. And we do have a dog in our quarterback.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that a lot of people get this panic thing with Brock getting paid is that they listen to a lot of people that don't understand the salary cap. The salary cap's going to be around 250 million soon, right? And
they're going to raise it. They're going to raise it.
They're going to raise the salary cap. You're looking at a team that's probably going to get rid of some older players, and they're not going to pay certain players that come back next year. The way they arrange these contracts, they will always backload them, which will allow them to do more early on to support and put players around Brock. I forgot what I was going to say about the salary cap, but there's just
you slipped for a second. You said salary crap, and I wasn't going to correct you because I
salary
made
crap.
Sense.
Yeah, but the salary cap itself is going up, and this whole thing where they can't be competitive with Brock on the team, it's an inaccurate statement. There's people out there that you can talk to that will put all the salary cap ahead or on the table for you and let you look at it, and you'll realize that the Niners, first of all, the Niners are going into next season with like $50 million under the cap to start before they let certain players possibly go. That could push them upwards of almost 90 million under the cap next year. So I look at it as retooling, putting some stuff back into certain parts of the team, defensive line, offensive line. The Niners are not going to go into next season and completely gut this thing. They have a good core of talent. They just need to retool this team. Getting rid of everybody and getting rid of Brock to bring in another quarterback that's unproven is just a bad way to run a franchise and will get you fired inwards.
So you get rid of Brock, you're going to look like one of the dumbest teams in it. They'll make a freaking 30 for 30 on that within a blink of an eye, dude.
Yeah, I don't understand why everybody thinks that you could just that Brock's the problem and that they need to get rid of him and it's that easy to just replace him with an elite quarterback when you don't even have a handful on this. I mean, elite. I'm talking about like top of the league grade. Brock's in the top 12. I think he's a top 12, top 10 quarterback. I just think the Niners having a down year and the Niners need to do some things on this team and this franchise to get better. That's what all it comes down to. They need to reinvest in their defensive line. They need to reinvest into their offensive line. They need to figure out how to get someone downfield in the passing game that can take coverage deep. Because the Niners, if you watch them, do the Niners really have anybody on their team, Bashar, that can really stretch the field?
Good question. I was watching a lot of people talk about that. I've been hearing that on the radio. I'm hearing that post Niner games whenever we lose. You think we did have somebody, right? We drafted somebody apparently, but a guy who rarely steps on the field, Jacob Cowing, and I hear he was in concussion protocol. I was like, when was he even on the field to have a concussion protocol? Well, I guess it was during one of the kickoff returns or something, or punt returns perhaps. So hopefully he gets better. I have a lot of faith in the kid. For some weird reason, Shanahan isn't giving him the reps that he needs out there. I truly think that he could stretch the field. He has the speed to do it. We'll see what happens this year. We got to find a way to develop the kid. What do we draft him for? We picked up Terrace Marshall. I hate to beat that name to horse. He's not on the team anymore.
Terrace Marshall.
Terrace Marshall had already been a proven NFL deep threat on the Panthers. Now he didn't do much else, and he was supposed to be this amazing receiver coming out of LSU, which he wasn't. But if he's a one-trick pony, yes, he's that. He's got the speed, got the size, but we got rid of that guy too, right? We sure could use him, especially after Ayuk has been gone. So yeah, I mean, is Debo a deep threat? No, not really. I mean, is Jennings a deep threat? No, not really. Pearsall, maybe if we're lucky. I mean, he's still a rookie. He's still learning, and I get it. Cowings is still a rookie too, but I'll say this: obviously, this is an obvious one. I know he's not a wide receiver, but not having Kittle out there hurt us really, really bad. Especially like when it came to the blocking. Yeah.
Like blocking in the pass game. Sentinel
even in the run game too.
Says he'll grow and learn just like any quarterback would. Josh Allen was a bust practically until 2020, 2021. Yeah. Josh Allen had, there was certain parts of post 2021 where people started to question whether he was the right guy for Buffalo based on, he's threw a lot of interceptions, right? He does a lot for that team. That team really relies on Josh Allen, but there was some talk a couple years ago when he was throwing an S load of picks. The conversation started with him, and it's just amazing how quickly, when a quarterback struggles, we're so ready to pull the plug on these guys when you realize that they are young and they're going through it, and quarterbacks have ebbs and flows in their career. I mean, Montana had a couple down years in his career and then came back towards the end of the late 80s and won a couple of Super Bowls and
I
got
was
an
going to mention
MVP out of it.
Montana. I was going to mention that too. Yeah.
People
He
struggle,
struggled.
man.
He struggled for a bit too. He had some struggles, man. He wasn't perfect.
I understand the Super Bowl or bust mentality. I get that. I just repeated that from earlier. But we have to remember that, like, these players, people go through ups and downs in their career statistically, have bad seasons, and then come back and play better than ever. And I really think this year it's a team wide epidemic. It's not just Brock. Debo doesn't get open anymore. I think Debo's cooked. I mean, Kittle's long in the tooth. Trent Williams is long in the tooth. The Niners have to make some decisions. I mean, do you really need Kyle Juszczyk anymore at this point? There's some money that could be freed up that could be allocated into different places on this roster. And I think a lot of people are just they're so streamlined in their thinking that it's just one thing or one player or one coach. Right now, this year it's a litany of stuff. It's more than just one thing. And am I always going to be as supportive for Kyle Shanahan going forward if things continue the way that they are? No. Next year to me is actually a really big year. Because Bashar, the conversation needs to be had eventually with Kyle at some point. Not saying this year or this offseason, but it's coming. They have an opportunity to right some wrongs in the offseason and get better and retool. And then we'll see going from that forward. But eventually, to me, I will, as personally would definitely get into that conversation of like who could come in and replace him. There is some good young coordinators in the NFL, but none of them are proven. They're all good coordinators. That's what they are. And until proven otherwise, it's a gamble.
And college guys that come out don't necessarily do well in the NFL either.
Sentinel says, yeah, you guys pretty much put it together for me. It's one of those down years. The players are having a collective down year. Our wide receivers was shot. Our cornerback lost his daughter, etc. Yeah, this has just been a bad year all around.
It's been weird.
Kittle's having a great year. I think he has 3 good years left. That I agree with. Twitter. Trent Williams' ankle has flared up again. Been an issue since 2021 and not going to get any better. Now, 100% on both of those. To be honest with you, I'm getting the feeling that I think Trent Williams is only sticking around because he's getting paid. I don't feel like he's the investment that he's been the last couple of years. I thought last year was kind of the last hurrah for Trent, and they decided to pay him, and they got suckered into paying him again. I don't know. The Niners need to make a move at tackle and do something soon. And if they do that, then, we can talk. But they're kind of trapped right now with that Trent Williams contract. And really, outside of him and Pooney on this offensive line, they don't really a hell of a lot going for him.
Yeah, Pooney. Banks is kind of like, I'm like not sure where to follow Banks. I know Al says he's playing kind of average. There are moments where I do like a lot of what I see in Banks. And I was hearing that they're looking to possibly get him locked in. So we're going to see where the whole Banks things goes. So that's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously, Banks, if you compare Banks to Brendel or McKivitz, I mean, he looks like an all-pro, but he's not. We don't know he's not, though. But yeah. In general, I hate to bring up O-line again because I've been beating a dead horse with it. But yeah, there's just things that we're going to have to fix. Some people are going to walk, some people are going to stay. And see Ward, it really sucks what happened to his daughter, but he's actually coming back and playing this week, which I give him all the credit and respect for. That's really hard. And some Niner fans were like, "Oh, I know he's lost his daughter, but he should be back out there to play better." Dude, he lost a damn 1-year-old, dude. Like
we have serious? A lot of there. I said this the other day, and somebody in the comments after one of my streams challenged me to fight because I said if somebody said something. Yeah, I said something like, if I forgot exactly what I said, I'd bop you in the face. Just like an ignorant comment. The guy's like, yeah, I'd like to see you bop me in the face. And then he went on about how Kyle's no good, Brock isn't the guy. And he just went on and on and on, negative, 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 but didn't have
Hey,
any alternative or any answer
hey,
how to fix things, you
you
know?
could have linked him to another channel and he'd be right. He'd have been right at home. So, yeah.
Right. I reluctantly had the same feelings, Aaron, when basically uh like Trent Williams cut in line during the BA contract discussions to get paid. That was him cutting in line for job security. The whole job security thing, I'm like, job security for Trent Williams. He needs job security for the future. Haven't you made enough already? Like,
And there are people in the camp who said, "How dare you bash a player for wanting to get
his
paid? They
money.
deserve to get paid. Who are you to bash a player?" And it's like, dude, but when they already have millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they're just adding, to that stack of millions, does it really make sense? I mean, I don't know, dude. Whatever. I'm not the one
CMC
playing,
did the
but
same thing. Yeah, I agree. CMC did that, but I think CMC, I mean, he had nothing short of an amazing season last year, bro. And he's been nothing short of amazing since he got here. So I didn't have as much of an issue with him essentially cutting in line. The Trent Williams thing I did because I thought Trent Williams was good on his money, and the fact that he wanted to get paid and have more years at it, it just didn't sit right with me. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to get his money, but if anyone deserved it out of the two between him and CMC, I would say
yeah.
CMC was the guy.
Yeah, we had just extended. Didn't we just extend him like 2 years ago, and then he won
Right.
another? Yeah, that was where it rubbed
And
me the
then
wrong way.
and then we had Juszczyk who was hurt when he was asked to take a pay cut. I'm just like, this is like a country club with some of these guys. Like it's amazing. These fans don't understand that people grieve differently. Wait till they lose a daughter. Wait till they lose their mother. Wait till they lose their son. They don't
Yeah.
understand and grieve in mourning.
I'm really hoping this is coming from fan. Not that I'm hoping, but I'm assuming that these comments should come from fans who haven't lived yet. But a few times here and there, they've come from fans who are in their 30s or late 30s or mid 20s. Like, dude, you guys have lived. You guys have seen how life can just throw a curveball right to your freaking face and right to your head and knocks you out of next Wednesday, if not the next few months, because you didn't expect to get bitch slapped. You didn't expect life to bitch slap you like the way it did. And it's unacceptable for any fan of any sport or any person, any human being to tell somebody when they need to get back on at their job when they freaking lost a kid who they love and adore. It's just horrible, dude. Sorry to be on my soapbox about this, but it's just dumb.
No, it's fine because I mean I lost my dad and I lost both
Yeah.
my grandmothers within a certain amount of time. Within like a 7-year span, I lost all that. And like you said, everybody grieves differently. Um, I've never lost a sibling or lost anybody who was younger, in their younger years, but I know plenty of people that have lost their dad. You lost your brother. Like people all grieve differently. Who gives a shit about sports, bro? Like who cares? Nobody cares. Like in the end, it doesn't really matter. Losing anyone in general sucks. Yeah, it does. It's really horrible, and like everybody deals with it differently. To be honest with you, football is a dangerous sport, and to be on that field when you're not emotionally and physically and you're not locked in completely is a very dangerous thing. It's a very dangerous thing. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm all for him. Listen, it's one of those years, man. I just think the Niners are having a down year. Do I think they need to make some wholesale changes on this team, in the coaching staff and in the in the player base of this team, on both sides of the ball? Absolutely. I just this mentality of just gut it, get rid of it all. Brock's no good anymore after struggling this year, after being awesome, up until this point. And the Shanahan thing is I understand it, but you better have a plan to replace him with someone who is as innovative, if not more, and can take this team from where it has been and get it to that next place. You better have that guy, because if you don't, it's going to get ugly. And John and Kyle are a package deal, so if Kyle goes, John goes, and those people that come in have no allegiance to this team. They have no allegiance to the quarterback, the roster, anything. So be careful what you wish for. That doesn't mean you stand pat and be okay with things, but there's a lot that goes into it if you want to just can a coach and cut a quarterback and trade Bosa for draft picks on unproven players that might not turn out. Like it's silly, man. It's silly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we lose, man, expect all the emotions just to pour out from 49 fans and all the reactions and when you're emotional, logic does not a lot more often than not logic does
the
not.
The salary cap thing is the worst, Bashar, because people don't understand the salary cap. Mm-hmm. Nobody understands the salary cap. There's people out there that actually do it for a living who could tell you that the 49ers are going to be okay. There's going to be some people coming off the books. There's going to be a salary cap increase. There's a lot of things. Brock's contract is not going to be killer in the first 2 years. They got $50 million going into next offseason.
And they already extended Demo. The whole notion with Demo was he was going to wait till the offseason and play the waiting game and accumulate his value. But we actually locked him in pretty quick. That was pretty impressive. And despite the Ayuk debacle with him being out or whatever, we're still set up pretty well for the salary cap. You know, we can afford to let certain people go and knock on wood. We have a killer draft. I mean, we have a pretty good draft this season, and hopefully we have another one just as good, if not better.
Somebody made a good point. If we hit on 5 draft picks next year, 4, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
If you can hit on an edge, a tackle, a receiver, and maybe another defensive back, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And then you look at this year, I mean, safety, we hit. Corner, we hit. Offensive guard, we hit. I think we're pretty good in the backfield as well. I think Isaac Guerrero was a good draft pick.
We just need to get those guys more carries.
Yeah.
Especially Mason, man. He was doing so good earlier in the season. So.
The Niners are not bereft of talent, and to gut this team when you're not bereft of talent is just asinine thinking. There's just a lot of panic in 49er land. You know, the talk was, did the window close? I think the window in its current form, did it close? Yeah, I think so. But it can open up again. You'd be surprised what a good draft and a good free agency period could do to a team and come into a year with not a lot of injuries and a last place schedule, which is a good chance if we fail and fall on our face this year, we could run into that too. So I know this sounds like kicking the can down the road, so to speak, and I'm just trying to turn a negative into a positive.
Kick the can down the road. I love that saying.
Personally, I think we already have the talent, but they're hampered because they're not playing, getting reps in real time, and if they do make a mistake because they haven't played they're thrown out.
I think he meant that. I'm not sure.
I'd like another linebacker. Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that either. I apologize not having a ton of structure on this show, but it's just so.
Sometimes you don't need structure. You just need a good therapy session.
Yeah, this has been
I haven't been following the Niners the past on Monday, or I barely followed them today to kind of refresh my memory of what happened or what to talk about.
You said you were watching the game, but you weren't really paying attention.
I was watching, but I wasn't watching. Let's just say that I was. Yeah, and I didn't go back and watch highlights or do any of that. But sometimes you just need a good therapy session. I mean, you can break down film all you want and listen to people break down film, but sometimes you just need to be a fan and need to let things out. And case in point, that's what I'm doing. I guess you're doing the same. So
this isn't the first bad season under Kyle, but yeah, we want to win. I think we all want to win. None of us are okay with this season being the way that it is. If you listen, I think special teams, they made a drastic mistake not firing. This will be the last thing when we get out of here. When Kyle was confronted about the special teams issue, he essentially said he doesn't think there's any more he could do to change it. Like they've done enough, so to speak, for special teams. Like he really downplayed special teams being a problem. That's essentially what he said. I forget the quote, but it was really, really. It was really lame how Kyle doesn't seem to be overly concerned with special teams when it's been the biggest bugaboo this season.
Maybe Kyle's one of those guys. I'm not trying to stick up for the guy or whatever, but I know this happens a lot in the business world, sometimes in sports, where certain things are just kept behind closed doors, and maybe he expresses a much stronger opinion. So once the cameras are off, So we'll see. One good thing to know about special teams, though, Jordan Mason is much more involved with special teams now that CMC's back, and Jordan Mason's a pretty damn good special teamer. So hopefully it helps. We'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be another crazy week. A lot of overreacting, a lot of panic, a lot of doomsday scenarios. Rightfully so. I mean, if the Niners lose this one in Green Bay, they might be done. They might be done. I mean, they have a losing record in their division, and their conference record ain't so hot either. So the Niners are on the wrong side of not only the division but on tiebreakers as well. So
yeah,
we'll give
fun.
it another. We'll give it another try in Green Bay. To be honest with you, I'm not super confident, or not this year. But the season isn't over until they're mathematically eliminated. That's all I'll say.
Or until the fat lady sings.
Until the fat lady sings, which might be soon. But
yeah, plenty of fat ladies out there too, by the way, especially in Green Bay.
Throwback is.
I had heard that before.
Positive.
Have you heard that before about Wisconsin? There's a lot of Green Bay female Green Bay Packer fans are just known for being like big fat chicks. Hey, all much respect to all the guys that go for that. That's fine, but it's a running joke that I've been hearing. So
you got the Commanders in Philly that will make it. Yeah, I Throwback's been probably one of the most positive contributors to the channel and positive 49er fans in general. He's not feeling it this second half of the season. I don't blame you, bro. I don't really either, to be honest with you. But until they are eliminated, I will continue to bang the drum of optimism. Well, I wouldn't say optimism,
hey,
but I'm not going to.
Everywhere I walk in town or in public, year round, whether we're the worst team in the league or the best team in the league, I always wear this hat and my other Niner hat.
Always.
That's just it, man.
I have so many 49er hats and shirts that I wear even in the off season. I put some stuff away during or after the Super Bowl this year. I was so depressed, but eventually it came out of hiding as we got closer to the season. I fell right back into it as we always do. So, at the end of the day, guys, it's not the end of the world. It's just sports. There's more important things. We do love our Niners. We want them to be good. But we'll see. I mean, until they're eliminated, they're not eliminated, and we'll see. Can they pull off some magical run? I doubt it, but you never know. And this is coming probably from the most pessimistic 49ers fan out there. So you can't fix it by gutting the team and getting rid of everybody. That's not the way to go about doing it. Retool, revamp, get healthy, change some coaching staff position on the coaching staff, come back next year ready to go. That's how I look at it. Yes, no, maybe.
Oh yeah, I'm totally with you, man. Totally. I was saying it earlier. We've been kind of going in circles, but yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun being on here, considering the fact that we lost and it was just one of those crazy losses. But it is what it is. Life goes on. Being a 49er fan is what we're always strive to be, and we'll see how everything plays out. If it's not this year, it's next year, and whenever. We'll see what happens from here on out.
You never know. The Eagles were thought to have been on a downslide. They made some good draft picks. They revamped their team a little bit. Is Jalen Hurts the second coming? No, I think the NFL has kind of figured out that Jalen Hurts maybe isn't as great as a lot of people thought he was, but the Eagles are still a really good team, and the Niners can be that team too. They can retool and revamp, and people can come back next year and look really good, and we'll forget all about it because we'll be caught up in a 10-0 start or whatever. So, I'm going to go to my pessimist anonymous page right after this and talk. But we're going to get out of here. I'm going to probably be live on Twitter not Twitter, on TikTok at some point. Started getting some traction on there. So look for me on TikTok, people. My 49ers First Takes on TikTok. You can find me. Anything going on this week, Bashar, channel-wise, or are we...
I got a lot of family stuff going on, so if I bring anybody on my channel, it's going to be kind of last-minute thing, but if I do, I'll announce it on my community tab on my YouTube channel. I'll announce it on my Twitter page. So, and I'll announce it on my Instagram as well. But yeah, I do plan on doing more shows. I have a lot of guests I've been hitting up over the past few weeks or so. Just this week's going to be pretty busy with the family. So we'll see if I come back on this week.
That's totally fine. You're allowed to have family issues and have responsibilities outside of YouTube. I'll probably be back on tomorrow night with Raj from RSF 49ers, And like I said, look for me on TikTok. I don't really go on there and scream and yell too much. I just kind of go with the flow, and I get attacked by some fans, that they come in here and say the Niners suck, Cowboys are better, or the Seattle Seahawks are the best team of the Rams or whatever. But I don't really get caught up in it. I just have fun. So if you guys want to pop on there, possibly tomorrow, don't miss out. Hopefully I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. And if not, me and Bashar will see you guys next week. Take care, everybody.
See ya. Go Niners.